Abiding Day by Day presents Josiah Conder, 1789 to 1855. Josiah Conder wrote of God's initiating love in 1836, writing, "'Tis not that I did choose thee, for, Lord, that could not be. This heart would still refuse thee, hadst thou not chosen me. Thou from the sin that stained me hast cleansed and set me free. Of old thou hast ordained me, that I should live to thee. 'Twas sovereign mercy called me, and taught my opening mind. The world had else enthralled me, to heavenly glories blind. My heart owns none before thee, for thy rich grace I thirst. This knowing, if I love thee, thou must have loved me first." 1 John 4:15-19. "Whosoever shall confess that Jesus is the Son of God, God dwelleth in him, and he in God. And we have known and believed the love that God hath to us. God is love, and he that dwelleth in love dwelleth in God, and God in him. Herein is our love made perfect, that we may have boldness in the day of judgment, because as he is, so are we in this world. There is no fear in love, but perfect love casteth out fear, because fear hath torment. He that feareth is not made perfect in love. We love him because he first loved us." Josiah Conder lived his life proclaiming Christ within the business opportunities he was given. This past Sunday, I learned in church about the word "go" in the Great Commission. Matthew 28:19 says, "Go ye therefore, and teach all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost." The Greek word "go," poreuemi, does not necessarily mean for all people to leave their homes, to go and make disciples. Instead, it means as you are going, or to pursue the journey on which one has entered. Josiah Conder pursued the path that God called him. Along the way, he used every effort to proclaim Christ. Josiah was destined from a young age to the literary business. He was born in his father's bookshop on September 17, 1789 in London. At the age of 5, he had the smallpox illness. As a result, he lost his right eye. Nonetheless, he was recognized for his literary talents at an early age. As a youth, he published in Dr. Aiken's Athenaeum. His literary work began when he was young. At 10 years of age, he wrote and published an essay and won 2 silver medals at the school he attended. He also rewrote some of Aesop's fables into verse. Foretelling his profession, he became the editor of the school paper. His father became very ill, so Josiah began working at his father's business at a young age, around 13. At the age of 22, Josiah took over the work at his father's bookshop and publishing house. He married Joan Elizabeth Thomas in 1815 when he was 26 years old. They had 4 sons and a daughter together. Because of her poor health, Josiah decided to sell the bookshop and begin a new adventure. This new work would move them away from London and into a better area, the small village of St. Michael's. At age 25, he purchased the Eclectic Review, a British literary magazine. This began his career as an editor. In 1832, he also began editing The Patriot, a nonconformist and abolitionist newspaper. In total, Josiah worked as an editor for 41 years between the 2 papers. He used his platforms as a method of proclaiming Christ and fighting for the moral abolishment of slavery. Josiah wrote abundantly. It was said by one of his sons in one of his obituaries that, quote, "From the time to his last illness, his pen could scarcely have been idle for a day," end quote, from the Sectarians. Until 3 months before his death, Josiah continued writing non-fiction works and hymns. Josiah authored many books to proclaim Christ and lift his name high. Among these were The Star in the East with other poems, The Choir and the Oratory, or Praise and Prayer, the Epistle to the Hebrews, a new translation with notes, an analytical and comparative view of all religions, The Harmony of History with Prophecy, an exposition of the Apocalypse, The Law of the Sabbath, religious and political, Wages or the Whip, an essay on the comparative cost and productiveness of free and slave labor, The Designs of the Dissenters, a letter to the king. Most well-loved were his Modern Traveler and Congregational Hymn Book. John Julian commented on Josiah's hymns, saying, quote, "As a hymn writer, Conder ranks with some of the best of the first half of the present century," end quote, from Julian. Through all his work in the business and literary world, Josiah had one aim: to glorify God. It was said by one of Josiah's sons that, quote, "In private life he was singularly estimable, and proved how possible it is for the busiest and most anxious to have their affections set on things above, and to walk with God," end quote. While he led a very busy and public life for God, his true heart was to see disciples made through lifting Christ high. We can see this in his hymns. He frequently wrote and edited his papers to include ideas favoring the nonconformists and the abolition of slavery. Although he was under attack because of this, Josiah writes in one hymn, quote, "Rest, my soul, the work is done by God's almighty Son. This to faith is now so clear, there's no place for torturing fear. Free from every fear of wrath, choose the servant's happy path. Tread the way which God hath trod, till the Sabbath of thy God." Josiah viewed his work as unto the Lord. It was the sustaining power of God that propelled him each day. Because everything he did, even while done in his profession, was for God, he was free from the burden of the criticism that came with it. Calling others to take up the cross, to trust God more fully, was a theme of his hymns. Shortly before his death, Josiah asked that some of his hymns be read to him aloud. One of them reads, quote, "Beset with fears and cares, in him my heart is strong. All things in life and death are theirs, who to the Lord belong." His life was lived fully in the presence of God, and his death was an easy transition to seeing Christ face to face. Josiah died in his sleep with his family around on December 27, 1855. Josiah lived a life of proclaiming Christ as he was going. Wherever he was already going, he told others about Christ. He advocated for the issues close to the heart of Christ. Within that time that he was given, Josiah took up the cross of Christ and lifted his name high. He was a missionary in his time and in the place where he was born. Josiah Conder is an example to us of setting our heart on God. He enjoyed variable earthly success editing his newspapers. His true success came in the daily work of going into the world and telling others about Jesus. His hymns are still proclaiming Christ to us today. We, too, can take up our own crosses, and in the time and place in which God has put us, share the good news of Jesus with the people around us. Thank you for listening to this biography of Josiah Conder's life and one of his poems. We hope your heart has been encouraged through this video. Please share with your friends. To receive poetry and devotions in your inbox each Friday, please click the link below to subscribe to our newsletter. You can connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. Click the subscribe button to receive updates when our next video is released. Let's love Jesus more today than yesterday.